Good morning to the members of the Veterans and Military Affairs Committee. I am State Representative Jamie Foster. There is a little bit of action happening, and so I'm going to call this meeting to order, and then we will stand at ease for a few moments. Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm State Representative Jamie Foster, and this is the first JF meeting of the Veterans and Military Affairs Committee for the 2025 legislative session. It's an honor to be here serving the veterans and military families of Connecticut. We are calling this meeting to order a little bit late. I apologize for our tardiness, but we are looking forward to a robust meeting. We've done a lot of really great bipartisan work between the members of this committee in the last several weeks, with lots more important bipartisan work to come. And I'm looking forward to getting down to business and getting this work done. So thank you to everybody who's here in attendance. Thank you to everyone who has served our country, who resides in the state of Connecticut. We're looking forward to serving you. And I will now turn to my co-chair, Senator Paul Honig, for his brief remarks.
Thank you, Madam Co-Chair. We have some very important bills that we're going to be voting on today, bills that provide additional assistance to veterans, bills recognizing veterans, bills to help the military department and the state. So I look forward to getting to work with all my colleagues here on the committee. Thank you.
I'll now defer to my ranking member, Senator Gordon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I look forward to getting the work done. We have a long agenda, but that's because we have a lot of good stuff we're trying to get done and a lot of things we are working on. So again, I'm looking forward to seeing what we can do through this meeting and hearing from members as needed. Thank you.
Next, Representative Anderson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm looking forward to moving some bills forward in the legislative process to help our veterans and military. And I'll reiterate that this committee has worked very hard in a bipartisan manner, and it's been a pleasure. Thank you, Madam Chair.
All righty. So with that, it looks like we will start beginning looking at agenda item number 3, bills and resolutions for final action. What I'm going to start by doing in deference to the preferred format for this committee membership is I'm going to read the bill number and LCO, if there is one, the proposed action, and then we can entertain a motion from committee members if we would like to add it to a consent calendar, or if that vote will be taken by roll. So if it'll be added to a consent calendar, it will be a voice vote to add it to the consent calendar, and it'll be a vote by roll for the cumulative list at the end. And if there needs to be an individual roll call on a specific bill, we can do that, take that action as it appears. So the first bill on our agenda today in agenda item number 3.1 is Senate Bill number 376, an act eliminating service in time of war as an eligibility criterion for certain state and municipal veterans benefits. The motion proposed is to JF to the floor. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Rep. Heffernan, seconded by Senator Austin. I'll just begin the remarks in case there are any for other members of this. I'm sorry, I have a motion to add this to the consent calendar?
Madam Chairwoman, I'll make a motion to begin the consent calendar.
Thank you. And so we have a motion to begin a consent calendar. Do I have a motion to add Senate Bill 376 to the consent calendar?
So moved.
So moved.
Okay, so we have Senate Bill 376 added to the consent calendar. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. The ayes have it. The motion carries. And I will just like to reflect for the record that there is still a little bit of work that may need to be done. We did receive commentary on this bill from the Department of Social Services that there may be an unintended fiscal impact that we did not anticipate. That number that was submitted in the DSS testimony is much higher than we expect. And so we will plan to be meeting with the Department of Social Services. So please be aware that we will continue to do work on this bill if necessary, or to clarify where there might be misunderstanding. The next item on the agenda is Senate Bill number 721, an act designating National Women Veterans Recognition Day. And the proposed motion is a JF to the floor. Do I have a motion to add this to the consent calendar? Moved by Rep. Nolan, seconded by Senator Austin. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The next motion is Senate Bill 1152, an act appropriating funds to the military department for the Joint Enlistment Enhancement Program, and the motion is a JF to the floor.
Second.
To add to the consent calendar by Rep. Heffernan, seconded by Rep. Nolan. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The next motion is for Senate Bill 1153, an act authorizing the Adjutant General to establish state military awards. The motion proposed is to JF to the floor. Do I have a motion to add it to the consent calendar? Moved by Senator Gordon, seconded by Representative Nolan. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, now we get a little bit different. The next motion is for Senate Bill number 1276, an act concerning the property tax exemption for veterans who are permanently and totally disabled based on a disability rating of 100% and a property tax exemption for Gold Star spouses. The motion is a JFS to the floor of LCO number 5040.
So
Do I have a
moved.
motion?
So
Moved by Senator Austin, seconded by. Okay, I have requested for a roll call vote. So do we, I'm sorry.
Yep, that'll go right now to a roll
Okay.
call.
So a motion for a roll call vote by Senator Austin, seconded by Representative Nolan. Oh, Representative Heffernan. Is there any discussion?
Representative Lanu had it as a second
Ye-
to J.
No, he's not a second. He's
Oh,
asking
okay.
for discussion. And is any discussion? Representative Lanu.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Rep. Lanu.
And I wanted to say on this, this legislation, I absolutely support, giving, this exemption to our veterans who are permanently and totally, disabled, with this rating of 100%, and also for Gold Star spouses. This is absolutely, imperative. I think this is sending a strong message as a state that the importance of making sure these veterans and their spouses can stay in their homes, retain their property, for all the sacrifice they did for us as a state and as a country. We absolutely need to give back to these people. However, and I want to emphasize what they did as a state and as a country. And we, as a state of Connecticut, have an obligation to pick up the bill on this, because regardless of which town these veterans and their families reside in, their sacrifice was a sacrifice to the entire state. They made to the entire state of Connecticut to keep us under one flag and one country. So again, we have that obligation as a state to pick up the bill on this. I don't think we should be defraying the cost to our municipalities. I think we need to make sure that we pay for this as a state of Connecticut, as a collective people, as one state. So therefore, Madam Chair, the clerk has an amendment. Would you please ask the clerk to distribute the amendment, and I'd be allowed to summarize?
The amendment has been distributed by the clerk via email. The email came through at 11:03. Please progress to summary.
Thank you. And again, Madam Chair, what this amendment says is there's going to be $15 million appropriated by the Office of Policy and Management from the general fund for fiscal year ending in January 30th, 2026, to reimburse the municipalities for any revenue lost by this exemption. So again, this is allowing the state of Connecticut as a state to pick up the cost for this. And I urge its passage, and when the vote is taken, I request it's taken by roll.
Thank you, Representative Lanu. I appreciate your amendment, and I appreciate the bipartisan effort of our committee to move this process forward. As you and the other members of the committee are aware, many of us are working in conjunction to a bill that was proposed by Senator Gordon that has been referred to the Appropriations Committee, and that is Senate Bill 381, which works to create such an appropriation. Because there's a time-sensitive nature to this legislation in allowing the municipal tax assessors in the towns to reprint their grand list. And there is an inadvertent error in the previous version of this bill. We are hoping to pass this bill out of committee as soon as possible to allow for the fixing of the inadvertent mistake of missing the term 100% in the 100% permanently and property tax exemption that was passed last year. My concern with your amendment is that with its referral to appropriations, this bill will be significantly delayed. And there is the risk that the entire bill, including the language fixes that are germane to the work of the committee, would die in appropriations. And so I am going to be encouraging my colleagues to vote no on this amendment with my wholehearted commitment and co-sponsorship, as demonstrated currently on the website on Senate Bill 381, to continue to work to see what we can do to advance some appropriation to support this effort, as we know that the cost is more for the towns than they had originally anticipated. So I thank you for your amendment. I will be encouraging my colleagues to vote no. Any other comments? Yes, Senator Gordon.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I appreciate the amendment that Representative Lanu has put forward, and I very much share his concern that while we are doing what we need to do to fix the law that was passed last year, just not putting literally 100% in to make to clarify exactly what we were trying to do last year, but also doing what we can do to recognize and thank our veterans and their families. At the same time, we always need to be mindful of what could be the financial impact upon our municipalities who are already dealing with difficult budget negotiations and decisions at this point in time, not knowing where things may or may not stand on many other issues relative to funding from the state and even from the federal government. So I understand very much Representative Lanu's concern. I share that concern. And I do appreciate and want to acknowledge the growing bipartisan work, and I appreciate Chairwoman Foster raising that and for the support of the chairs and my colleagues on Senate Bill 381 to see what can we do to try to get some reimbursement for the towns to be of help to them, given that it is an unfunded mandate. I do support 1276 and have been working as best as I can. And again, it's been a true bipartisan effort to see what we can do to be of further help and address many different issues for our veterans and for our towns. I will be voting yes on this amendment to support Representative Lanu and my caucus. At the same time, want to make it very clear, we can't at all take away from the effort on SB 381 to see what we can otherwise do. That bill was sent to appropriations to see helping more for reimbursing the towns and what we can do in that regard. And whatever way we go on this amendment, we want to make certain we continue that work on that bill and the work we need to do on the bill before us, just not the amendment, to really make some of these fixes the way they need to be done. So there's a number of moving parts, and we recognize it. And to some people out there in the public, it may look to be complicated, but this is the legislative process when we're trying to deal with a lot of different issues on this bill. So again, I appreciate the remarks that you made, Madam Chairwoman, and the work that you and others have been doing on SB 381. And very much the work that's been done on the bill itself and Representative Lanu's amendment, and continuing to raise this concern about the financial impact on the towns. Thank you.
Representative Vale.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and certainly I appreciate the work that's done also. I had concerns about this when we passed it last year, that there were, I always thought the state should be funding this. It's a great idea. We weren't sure about the numbers. The numbers came in larger than anticipated with an undue burden on our local municipalities. And I think that adding this amendment to that is part of the fix. I also co-sponsored 381. That's great, but this is the fix now to fix that bill. And I think part of that fix is to supply, to give the support to our local municipalities now within this bill to make that happen. So I strongly support this amendment, and I urge my colleagues to support it too.
Thank you, Representative Vale. Representative Anderson, I'm sorry if I inadvertently passed you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This underlying public act passed last year unanimously in both chambers, and it had a fiscal note just under 5 million. I did raise red flags at that time, and now it looks like with that fiscal note could be 15 million, which is what this amendment adds. I think the chair has worked very hard with the committee and the municipal representatives to make this bill clearer, including working over this weekend and the holiday, including some of the staff and committee members. And that's deeply appreciated. And the chair has advocated for more funds and will with appropriations, and I will join her. But I do support the underlying bill and this amendment. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Are there any other comments from members of the committee? Yep, Representative Lanu.
Again, and thank you, Madam Chair. And I want to echo certainly the comments of my colleagues. Well, I know you've been working very, very hard to find a mechanism, as far as what was passed last year. And keep in mind, this expands on what was passed last year. So, and I also co-sponsored 381. 381 does try to find that mechanism to solve the problem with what was passed last year as far as the funding source, right? So I fully support that amendment, that bill 381 as a co-sponsor. But again, this legislation that's before us expands what was done last year. And again, this is good legislation. This is a long time coming. But again, this is telling our municipalities, our veterans, and our Gold Star families, we got you as a state of Connecticut. We're not going to defray the responsibility to individual towns and individual cities. We as a state are marching lock, foot, and step, saying we got you. We're picking up the tab, and thank you for your service. So again, I thank you for hearing this amendment, and I ask again that this is taken by roll call. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Lanu. And I'll just I'm going to just point out, I think it would be taken as a friendly amendment to the amendment, but the amendment is drafted for session year 2024, and I assume it's intended for session year 2025. So we'll take that as a friendly amendment and now take this vote by roll call vote. And so with that, Mr. Clerk, can you please take the vote by roll?
Alrighty, we are voting on whether or not to amend SB 12-1276. Senator Honig,
No.
Representative Foster,
No.
Senator Lesser,
Senator Lesser, no.
Representative Delaney,
Delaney, no.
Senator Gordon,
Yes.
Representative Anderson,
Yes.
Representative Boyd, Representative Buckby,
Yes.
Representative DiCaprio,
Yes.
Representative DiGiovancarlo,
No.
Senator Flexer, Representative Heffernan,
No.
Representative Lanu,
Yes.
Representative Nolan,
No.
Senator Austin,
No.
Representative Poulos,
Rep. Poulos votes no.
Representative Santos,
Rep. Santos votes no.
Representative Vale,
Yes.
Senator Winfield,
Senator Winfield in the negative.
Senator Ciccarella. Thank you.
Mr. Clerk, can I have a tally?
Alrighty. The tally is 6 votes in favor of the amendment, 11 against.
With that, the amendment fails. I'd like to take a motion to move on as the original vote was proposed.
I'll make the motion, Madam Chair.
And is that to take a roll call vote on this bill or to add it to the consent agenda?
Consent's fine.
All right, so I have a motion to put it on the consent agenda by Senator Gordon. Do I have a second? Second by Senator Honig. Thank you. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you to the members of this committee for moving this bill forward. There's a lot of important fixes that are coming out of the bill, and I'm committed to working with my colleagues on both sides of the aisle to try and make sure that this version that passes out of the committee and all concurrent legislation that's supposed to work in alignment with this is favorable. So the next bill on the agenda is agenda item number 36, Senate Bill 1277, an act concerning affordable housing for certain disabled or elderly veterans. The motion is to JF to the floor. Moved by Senator Nolan or Representative Nolan. Well, I'll take a second by Senator Gordon. Any comments? Senator Gordon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll be real brief, and I do appreciate the committee moving this forward to see what we can do to help our elderly veterans and our disabled veterans with regards to affordable housing options.
Thank you, Senator Gordon. Any other comments? All those in favor of adding this to the consent, please signify by saying aye. The ayes have it. Next on the agenda is agenda item number 37, HB number 5787, an act concerning reimbursement for veterans who join a chapter of the Military Order of the Purple Heart and receive a number plate recognizing the Military Order of the Purple Heart. The entertained motion is to JF to the floor. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Senator Honig and a second by Senator Lesser. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. The next agenda item to add to consent is HB number 6438, an act concerning Veterans Affairs in Connecticut. The motion is to JF to the floor. May I have a motion? Moved by Senator Honig, seconded by Senator Gordon. Any comments? I see Representative Vale.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This bill has a familiar look to me. Looks an awful lot like a placeholder bill. Usually when we get these generic titles, they are very much that. An act concerning Veterans Affairs in Connecticut. Obviously, all the bills we've discussed so far are very specific. So I'll ask you what, I've read the language. It seems like there's minor technical revisions. Is this a placeholder bill?
Thank you for your question, Representative Vale. Yes, this is a placeholder bill. It is my hope that there's going to be a great number of bills that pass out of this committee bipartisanly and unanimously. And as is the history of this committee, to have the majority of bills that pass out of this committee being bipartisan and unanimous. In the last couple of years, there have been several bipartisan unanimous bills, good bills with small fiscal impacts that just were lost to time. I believe the veterans and military families of Connecticut deserve a better fighting chance to get their good legislation through in the legislative cycle. The state of Massachusetts actually passed a bill called the HERO Act several years ago, and the HERO Act actually took a bunch of these low-hanging fruit, relatively simple, non-controversial things that are good sense for veterans to get those services that are necessary, to get small hanging fruit, that sort of low-hanging fruit to the veterans and military families of Connecticut. It is my hope that with the permission of the ranking members on this committee and understanding of the membership as a whole, that the things that we all agree upon, the things that our veterans and military families deserve, we can create an aircraft carrier strategically and collaboratively together and ensure that our veterans aren't the victims of time in this committee and this legislative body.
I appreciate that, but I disagree 100%. We have a process in place. We have public hearings. We talk about specific issues they're put into these bills. We have an ample amount of time to get stuff done. It's how much do we want to work to make sure that that happens. I don't believe in pushing stuff through. There could be stuff put on aircraft carriers that never got a public hearing, whether it's a good idea or not. It needs to go through the process, and this is not part of the process. It's never been something I support. I don't support it now. So I'm going to be a no on this and any other ones that may come following it. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Vale. And for whatever it's worth, I will share with you my commitment that there will not be unintended and not discussed items added to these aircraft carriers. We have worked very hard in bipartisan collaboration in this committee. I don't plan to see an end to that in our efforts now, but I will not abuse this resource in the way that you're so concerned of. And will defer to my co-chair to speak about his commitments with such a bill. But what I will tell you is, although it's not the intention that we run out of time, committees like the Veterans and Military Affairs, which are a small committee, sometimes are the victims of debates for much more controversial bills of other committees that last hours and hours on the House or the Senate floor, and good bills that are consent calendar in the Senate will die to time, even when there was plenty of time for a consent agenda to be voted through. And so I appreciate your comments, and I will certainly take a vote by roll, but I hope you respect that my intentions are pure with the aircraft carrier. So I appreciate your commentary, and I'm happy to take a vote by roll. Did I see interest in conversation from Representative Buckby?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I wasn't going to, but chose latter. No discretion is a better part of valor. But I understand and completely respect the intentions of both the chairs and, of course, our rankings as well, of what the intents are. I do have a tough time with placeholder bills in general. There's policy put in place for some 3,000 bills that are placed before the General Assembly at this point, and everyone's got to have them in. And across the board in every committee, those timelines are important for all of us to know, to be on point with that, and to have concepts submitted so they do have a public hearing. I have a really tough time when placeholder bills have no public hearing and then make their way through. I think that the important pieces are there and amendments are there as an option as we get onto the House floor and the Senate floor. So I don't see it as a slight to the chairs and their intent in any capacity. I think that's just an honorable disagreement. I think we would have in the intent of placeholder bills and their intention and what their purposes are. I don't think there's the legislation, say it properly here. The Connecticut legislature is designed to be able to move on the fly with amendments and things that have been heard and have their public hearing. I think this is a loop around, and I've never been a fan of placeholder bills. So I appreciate all good intentions. I truly do, but I have a tough time voting for any placeholder bills. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Representative Buckby. Senator Honig.
Yeah, I just want to, add my personal commitment to, using these placeholder bills only to put in things that have been through a public hearing and have bipartisan support. So I just want to say that out loud.
Thank you, Senator Honig. Any other comments? Yep, Representative Anderson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Acknowledge what my colleagues have said. I normally vote against placeholders, but I accept the pledge of the chairs and will support this bill. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Representative Anderson. Senator Gordon.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I just want to echo the words of my colleague, Representative Anderson. I do share concerns about placeholder bills and generally do not like them, and I very much am mindful of that with my colleagues who spoke here today. But given what's been stated more than once by the two chairs of the committee in good faith to do what we can, not to have to use them as placeholder bills for things that have not gone through a proper process. I will support this and move it forward. And of course, we watch to see how things go. But again, I appreciate the statements in good faith and the actions in good faith by the chairs.
Thank you, Senator Gordon. Any other comments? Seeing none, the votes will be taken. Oh, do you have a comment? Yep, Representative Nolan. I keep on trying to promote you. Or demote you, as it were. Sorry about it.
We got a tough horse over there, so whatever, you better watch it. I just want to thank our Representative Foster for her eloquent way of putting her statement out there to give a great understanding in regards to the placeholder bill. And I'm supporting this because I know sometimes at the end of time, some things do get held up and some things are delayed and we do run out of time. And I think that this is part of the process. I think that it's smart to have this for one of those just in case moments. So I just thank you for your understanding for putting this through. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Nolan. Seeing no other comments from members of the committee, we will now take a vote by roll.
Alrighty, we are voting by roll on whether or not to JF to the floor HB's 6438 enact concerning Veterans Affairs in Connecticut. Senator Honig,
Yes.
Representative Foster,
Yes.
Senator Lesser,
Yes.
Representative Delaney,
Delaney, yes.
Senator Gordon,
Yes.
Representative Anderson,
Yes.
Representative Boyd, Representative Buckby,
No.
Representative DiCaprio,
Caprio votes yes.
Representative DiGiancarlo,
Yes.
Senator Flexer, Representative Heffernan, Representative Lanou,
No.
Representative Nolan,
Affirmative.
Senator Austin,
Senator Austin votes in the affirmative.
Representative Poulos, Representative Santos,
Representative Santos votes yes.
Representative Vale,
No.
Senator Winfield,
Senator Winfield in the affirmative.
Senator Ciccarella. All right, thank you.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is House Bill 6441, an act concerning the Department of Veterans Affairs Office of Advocacy and Assistance. The motion is to JF to appropriations. Do I have a motion to add this bill to consent? Moved by Senator Honig, seconded by Senator Nolan. That bill, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. The ayes have it. The motion carries. The next bill on the agenda is House Bill number 6442, an act concerning military affairs in Connecticut. Do I have a motion to add this bill to consent? Second. Okay. Okay. So do I have a motion to JF this bill to the floor? So moved by Senator Honig, seconded by Rep. DiGiancarlo. Are there any comments? Yes. Representative Vale.
Again, an act concerning military affairs in Connecticut. Obviously, I'll assume this is a placeholder bill as well. Is that correct, Madam Chair?
I apologize. Can you please restate your question?
Again, an act concerning military affairs in Connecticut, obviously a broad term. Am I correct to assume that this is also a placeholder bill?
It is a placeholder bill, Representative.
Again, I
Vale.
didn't want to reiterate, this is my 6th term in this building. And one of my previous colleagues, he talks about this as part of the process, and I couldn't disagree more, respectfully. This is a way to circumvent the process. That's what it is. We can sit here and sugarcoat it and talk about how nice everybody is, but that's what we're doing here. We're circumventing the process because we're either lazy and don't want to do the work now. And I'm not accusing you of being lazy, Madam Chair. I know how much work you do. This is a general statement to all committees and everything in this building to do things the right way. We have a system put in place. It's modeled after the United States. We do it the same way. We all watched, well, some of us older people, Gen X and beyond, watched Schoolhouse Rock. It's only a bill. It all starts with an idea and it has a process. It goes through the process. And you know what? Sometimes bills don't make it to the finish line, and that's unfortunate. But we shouldn't be looking for shortcuts to get them there. There's a process. We should follow it point blank, and I will be opposing this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Vale. Are there any other comments? Yes, Representative Buckby.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Not to beat the horse in any capacity. Curious why there's a need for two placeholder bills then if we have another outlet already going through with one. Is there a need to have two?
You know what? Originally, it was thought that we would, if we used an aircraft carrier, it would be more appropriate and transparent to have veterans related services through the Department of Veterans Affairs together and a separate vehicle for things that affect the military department. And we thought that that would improve transparency and sort of, again, keeping in line with only bills that went through the legislative process had a public hearing, where bills that were introduced had testimony. But then it would improve sort of the sort of understanding of what bills were related to what committees. But that was the hope.
I appreciate that. And I appreciate your transparency on that. Again, I'm not going to go through the whole thing again, but the one thing I will say in not as long a tenure, but my fifth term now here in the House, I've seen all good intentions go aside when other people, and call it leadership or whoever they may be, in whatever chamber they may be, strong arm some of these things to go through, and they don't go through the intentions that the good chairs might have. I think this is fool me once, fool me twice. So I'm going to have to vote no on this and still hold in my heart wonderful intentions of the chairs and the rankings in their efforts on each one of these. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Buckby. Senator Gordon.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I very much do share the concerns by my caucus members about placeholder bills, and generally I don't like and support placeholder bills. I will, as I've already voted prior on a placeholder bill, vote yes again. I do appreciate more than once the good faith effort and actions of the chairs, and certainly we endeavor to do what we can as much as we can bipartisan, being mindful that things that might get put into placeholder bills that otherwise haven't gone through a proper process, I would reserve for me, the right to then have to vote no if need be. But right now, I'll vote yes for the reasons that I stated, and we'll continue to work and see what we can do to minimize things that shouldn't be in a placeholder bill ending up in placeholder bills. But again, I'll vote yes for now to move this forward.
Thank you, Senator Gordon. Representative Anderson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I again acknowledge my colleagues' opposition to this bill. I can say that the chairs have been very receptive to our views, and I'll pledge to my colleagues that nothing will get into these aircraft carriers that you object to. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Representative Anderson. With that, I'd like to entertain a roll call vote for the members of the committee. And with that, seeing no other comments, I apologize. Didn't mean to cut anyone off. Thank you, Sam.
Alrighty, we are taking a roll call vote on whether or not to JF to the floor HB 6442, an act concerning military affairs in Connecticut. Senator Honig,
Yes.
Representative Foster,
Yes.
Senator Lesser,
Senator Lesser, in the affirmative.
Representative Delaney,
Representative Delaney in the affirmative.
Senator Gordon,
Yes.
Representative Anderson,
Yes.
Representative Boyd, Representative Buckby,
No.
Representative DiCaprio,
DiCaprio's yes.
Representative DiGiovancarlo,
Yes.
Senator Flexer, Representative Heffernan,
Heffernan's yes.
Representative Lanou,
No.
Representative Nolan,
Affirmative.
Senator Austin,
Senator Austin votes in the affirmative.
Representative Poulos, Representative Santos,
Santos, yes.
Representative Vale,
No.
Senator Winfield,
Senator Winfield in the affirmative.
Senator Ciccarella. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. The next item on the agenda is House Bill number 6723, designating the month of November as Veterans Month. The motion is to JF to the floor.
So
Moved by Senator Gordon, seconded by Representative Buckby. Oh, sorry, seconded by Representative Anderson. Okay, Rep. Buckby it is. I apologize. So that has been, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. The ayes have it. That has been added to the consent calendar. The next item on the agenda is number 12, HB number 6910, an act establishing waiting list exemptions for service-connected veterans in certain long-term care facilities. The motion is to JF to the floor. Do I have a motion to add to consent? That was like surround sound. So that was a motion by Senator Honig and a second by Representative Nolan. Correct? Yes. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. That has been added to the consent. Thank you very much. The next is HJ number 6, resolution honoring the members of the 6,888th Central Postal Directory Battalion, and the motion is to JFS to the floor, and the LCO is number 5043. Do I, moved by Representative Nolan, seconded by Representative DiCaprio. Do I have any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. The ayes have it. The motion carries. And the last item on this section of the agenda is HJ number 28, a resolution recognizing the Chief Harold Tantaquidgeon. Oh, do I have a motion? A motion to JF to the floor and add to the consent calendar by Representative or Senator Austin, seconded by Representative Nolan. Any discussion? Senator Austin.
This has come up a couple of years in a row, and I fully support this and will, of course, be voting yes on it. But Chief Tantaquidgeon, last year, or 2 years ago when this came up, over the last couple of years, we've neglected to sort of tell the Mohegan tribe, and Chief Tantaquidgeon is from the Mohegan tribe. And I looked on the testimony, and I do not see them as supporting or opposing this, but I would venture to say they probably don't know about it. So I just want to make sure that we send it to them as one of their honored members, one of their elders, somebody who has been well thought of his entire life when he was living in so I just want to make sure that they're aware of this piece of legislation.
I thank you, Senator Austin, for bringing that to our attention. I will commit to, if you would like, in collaboration with you, Senator Austin, reaching out and making sure that they're aware. By way of information for the rest of the committee, this bill was taken out of the list of those bills that had passed favorably out of committee and either died on the House or the Senate calendar last year. And so this was a well-supported bill, and it died just by nature of time. And so we wanted to revive it and make sure it had an opportunity, but we certainly do not want to do something like that without making sure that the supporters and family members who might be of interest are notified. So I commit to doing that with you,
Thank
Senator
you.
Austin.
You can do it. I'll get you the contact information, but it would, I just want to make sure the tribal nation is aware of it. Thank you.
Thank you. I have to write it down, otherwise I won't do it. Thank you. Okay, so that brings us to the end of agenda item number 3, and we now have a consent agenda, and I would like to take a roll call on the consent agenda. Do I need a motion to vote on the consent agenda? Yeah. No, okay. Can we vote by roll call on the consent agenda, Mr. Clerk? Thank you, Sam.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We are voting on the consent calendar, items 1 through 7, on 1 through 7, item 9, and items 11 through 14 under section 3 of the agenda. That is, we are SB 376, JF to the floor, SB 721, JF to the floor, SB 1152, JF to the floor, SB 1153, JF to the floor, SB 1276, JFS to the floor with LCO number 5040, SB 1277, JF to the floor, HB 5787, JF to the floor. HB 6441, JF to a change of reference to appropriations. HB 6723, JF to the floor. HB 6910, JF to the floor. HJ6, JFS to the floor with LCO number 5043. And HJ28, JF to the floor. Senator Honig,
Yes.
Representative Foster,
Yes.
Senator Lesser,
Senator Lester in the affirmative.
Representative Delaney, Senator Gordon, Representative Anderson,
Yes.
Representative Boyd, Representative Buckby,
Yes.
Representative DiCaprio,
Yes.
Representative DiGiovancarlo,
Yes.
Senator Flexer, Representative Heffernan,
Yes.
Representative Lanou,
Yes.
Representative Nolan,
Affirmative.
Senator Austin,
Senator Austin votes in the affirmative.
Representative Poulos, Representative Santos,
Representative Santos votes yes.
Representative Vale,
Yes.
Senator Winfield,
Senator Winfield in the affirmative.
Senator Ciccarella. Thank you.
There we go. So at this moment in time, I'd like to announce that we are holding votes open until 3:30, if that's all right with the clerk. All right. Votes will be held open until 3:30. Please communicate to your members who are unable to be in attendance. With that, the next item on the agenda is agenda item number 4, concepts to raise. And the first item on this section of the agenda is an act excluding veterans' disability benefits from qualifying income when determining property tax relief. Do I have a motion to raise this concept? So moved by Representative Buckby. Do I have a second? Second by Rep. DiGiovancarlo. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. The ayes have it. The motion carries. The concept will be raised. The next is an act establishing a personal income tax deduction for military funeral honor guard detail compensation. Do I have a motion? Moved by Rep. Heffernan, seconded by Representative DiCaprio. And I'd like to point out that the Speaker of the House asked for us to look particularly into this. He was at a cost and CCM function, and Representative or a First Selectman from Oxford raised that there has been a shift in his perception to the reimbursement to the honor guard members, and they were not receiving what they felt like was an appropriate amount of reimbursement. The actual reimbursement has increased. We know it's going to be a tight year in appropriations, and so this is another avenue that we think we can address that concern that's been raised. And so I look forward to raising this concept and having a robust discussion on how we can best achieve this. And I thank my colleagues for their support. All those in favor, any other comments? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. The ayes have it. The motion carries. The next item on the agenda is number 5, proposed bills or resolutions to be drafted as a committee bill or resolution. And the first is proposed Senate Bill number 1150, an act providing for no-cost driver's license renewals for veterans. Moved by Senator Austin, seconded by Representative Heffernan. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. The ayes have it. The motion carries. The next is proposed House Bill number 6724, an act creating a special motor vehicle number plate in recognition of the Buccaneers. Do I have a motion? A motion by Representative Nolan, a seconded by Representative DiGiovancarlo. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. The ayes have it. The next is number 3, proposed House Bill number 6728, an act concerning free ridership for veteran on modes of public transportation on Veterans Day. This is proposed House Bill number 6728. Do I have a motion? Moved by Senator Austin, seconded by Senator Gordon. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. The ayes have it. The motion carries. The next is proposed House Bill number 6734, an act reducing for veterans the cost to obtain certain specialty motor vehicle number plates. Do I have a motion? Moved by Rep. Heffernan, second by Senator Austin. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. The ayes have it. The motion carries. The next and last item is proposed House Bill number 6735, an act prohibiting the sale of real property near state or federal military installations to a foreign entity. Do I have a motion? I see it moved by Rep. DiCaprio, seconded by Representative Lanou. Any discussion? Well, I'd like to thank House Republicans for bringing this bill to our attention. I look forward to collaborating with our military department and any folks who are interested. Do I see any more discussion? No. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. The ayes have it. With that, I'd like to remind folks that the votes will be held open until 3:30. The next meeting is, sorry, I have to open my calendar. Unless someone can help me out here. The next meeting is a public hearing that's on March 4th. And with that, the votes will be held open until 3:30. Thank you, everyone, for attending our meeting and for a robust discussion. I look forward to working with my colleagues as things move forward.
Mr. Administrator. Mr. Administrator, are you on?